In ancient Norway, when kingdoms were constantly forged and shattered by battle, a legendary artifact was feared above all: the Crown of Foresight. Said to grant glimpses of the future, this crown became a powerful tool and a terrible curse. But how did a Norse king come to wield such power? Far from a mere trinket, the Crown of Foresight embodied a legacy of enigma and peril. Forged by the Norns, the mystical beings who wove the fates of both gods and men, the crown was rumored to grant visions of the future to its wearer. This story begins in 780 AD in the Fjordlands of Norway, where King Sigvald reigned over a prosperous but ever-threatened kingdom. One night, Verdandi, a seeress and keeper of forbidden knowledge, came to Sigvald in his hall. Dressed in robes of shadow and mist, she carried with her a crown of shimmering silver, its stones glowing faintly in the firelight. Verdandi, believed by many to be one of the Norns in human form, claimed she bore a gift for Sigvald, a chance to protect his kingdom. But she warned him. Each glimpse of the future would take a piece of his soul. Her cryptic words hinted at a test of his restraint and wisdom, daring him to wield the power carefully. Though Sigvald was a wise and thoughtful ruler, his desire to protect his kingdom outweighed his caution, and he accepted the crown despite the warning, unaware of the true price he would pay. King Sigvald was revered by his people for his wisdom and strength. Under his rule, they had thrived. But Norway was fraught with enemies, rival kings, and even betrayal within his own ranks. Sigvald's concerns grew, and the weight of his people's safety bore down on him. So, he placed the crown upon his head, its cold metal settling heavily on his brow. Instantly, his vision began to blur, and he found himself in a trance-like state, no longer in the warmth of his hall, but standing on the shore in a future time, facing an oncoming fleet. During this initial vision, he beheld the menacing sight of King Ragnar's warships, brimming with fierce warriors poised to ravage his realm. Sigvald snapped out of the vision, alarmed but emboldened by the knowledge. He gathered his warriors and fortified his defenses, sending scouts to track Ragnar's movements. When the day came, Sigvald's forces intercepted Ragnar's fleet and secured a victory so swift and decisive that his people hailed him as divinely blessed. But this victory brought more than fame. It brought temptation. Recognizing the crown's worth, Sigvald increasingly turned to its powers, leaning on it with each new danger that loomed. Yet each glimpse exacted a toll, a shadow creeping over his once clear mind. The cost of foresight, he realized, was higher than he had imagined. As the years passed, Sigvald used the crown again and again, each time to defend his kingdom or make critical decisions. Each vision showed him events with clarity, but also with a haunting darkness. He saw not only threats from other rulers, but betrayals within his own court, loved ones who would act against him, and even glimpses of his own death. These visions saved his kingdom many times, but the toll on Sigvald became evident. Once a confident and beloved ruler, he grew quiet and withdrawn, haunted by the burden of knowing too much. In 785 AD, a final desperate test came to Sigvald. A new rival, even more powerful than Ragnar, prepared an assault on his kingdom. Sigvald, by now weary and half-maddened by his visions, donned the crown once more, seeking the clarity that had once brought him victory. This time, however, he saw not just the enemy's plans, but something more sinister: his own death. In the vision, he stood alone on the battlefield, victorious yet surrounded by the faces of those he had once seen in visions. Fallen allies, betrayed friends, and his own family, distant and cold. The vision shook him to his core. He knew, with dreadful certainty, that the crown's final cost was near. His foresight had shown him victory, but at the price of everything else he held dear. After this vision, Sigvald could no longer bear the burden of the crown. The relentless anticipation of the future and the heavy price he had paid had extinguished all happiness within him. His children, filled with dread, began to shy away in fear, unable to comprehend his cryptic utterances that would only make sense after he was gone. His once loyal confidants kept their distance, caution in their eyes as they observed his fixation on the crown's prophecies and the erratic decrees that followed. In the last days of his reign, Sigvald made a choice. He ordered the crown locked away in a hidden chamber, swearing an oath that it would never be worn again. He gathered his family and told them of Verdundi's warning and the bitter price he had paid. "This crown may protect the kingdom," he said, "but it will destroy the one who wears it. Never seek it out, for knowledge of the future is no gift, but a curse." Sigvald died shortly after, his mind worn thin by the visions that had haunted him. The crown was hidden, buried with him in a secret tomb known only to a few trusted confidants, who passed the legend down in whispers, a cautionary tale for those who might be tempted by the power to see the future. Some say that even now, the crown's whispers linger, waiting for another ruler to tempt fate. The story of the Crown of Foresight teaches a timeless and cautionary lesson. The desire to control the future often comes with an unbearable cost. Though it protected Sigvald's kingdom, the crown drained his soul, reminding us that some mysteries are best left unknown and some battles best fought without foresight. Could such a relic have truly existed, hidden away with its ancient secrets? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure into ancient myths, hidden legends, and enchanted beings. Thanks for watching.